All right, folks, all Apple did was go from a frosted glass UI to a clear glass UI, and everybody's losing their minds. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Granny Geek Show, where we talk all things tech. We are just one day removed from WWDC25, in which Apple released their new design changes for all their operating systems, and people are going to town just criticizing the new look and feel of iOS 26. Now, I've actually been using both iOS 26 and iPad OS 26. I'm loading up Apple TV OS 26 as this video is recording, and having used these for just about 24 hours now, I gotta say, they feel pretty good, but we're gonna dive into it. We're gonna talk about it. So hit the like button, subscribe, and click the bell so you don't miss as we cover all things tech. I'm Chris Grant Jr. Here's the Granny Geek Show. All right, so like I said, I've actively been using these betas on my daily driver devices for the last 24-ish hours. And I have to say, while at the beginning, yes, there were some stutters and some lag and some jitters, but as far as betas go, it's really smooth, very functional. I haven't had a single app quit. Now, obviously, it's a beta, so your mileage will vary, and maybe it'll brick your entire device. I don't know, but that's the risk you take with betas. But as far as my experience has gone on multiple devices, everything has been fairly smooth. But I am gonna do a deep dive with iPad OS because, folks, we are here. The iPad Pro is finally a computer and a laptop replacement. There is now nothing that this can't do, even with the new windowing that people like to criticize as well. I don't know why. Just adds more functionality to this. And yes, I'm 99% confident that I'll be selling my MacBook Pro, and probably just doing a Mac Mini for my desk setup and going all in on iPad Pro, as a lot of people have been doing for a long time. But that'll be for a later video. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that sooner. I'll get that out sooner. iOS 26. Like I said in the intro, it's not like Apple was not hinting at this design change for a long time. With iOS 7, really, they had gone to that flat, pastel, kind of poppy colors, different types of animations, and they were just iterating on that for all these years. And they basically just went from a frosted glass look to a clear glass look, and we're acting like it's just the biggest, ugliest change in the world. I actually think it looks fantastic. You know why? Because Apple is the only company that could really do it like they did it. I mean, when you see this content scrolling, whether it's on Instagram or watching a video or even in your photo gallery or in music, when you see the content behind those glass UI elements and it's refracting light in a way that I haven't seen in tech. It's funny that in the keynote they referred to it kind of as an element, because that's really what it feels like. It's not an element that really exists in the real world, but it still behaves as though it's a real thing. It is very aesthetically glass, but it functions like liquid. Now, it's not that the criticisms of this are completely unmerited. In some places and instances, it feels more like glue or gloopy than glassy, but I'll tell you, as soon as I started using it, every app that I was using felt old. Outside of the native apps that had that glassy, transparent design, semi-translucent design, everything felt old. I don't want anything opaque anymore. Whether it's the Facebook app or the YouTube app or the X app, whatever gets updated, it needs to fit that OS. And I think it's going to set the design language for many apps, as iOS often does, for a long time. Now, let me be clear. We will never have probably as good of a design refresh as the jump from iOS 6 to iOS 7. Taking the design language out of the real world in terms of real textures like notepad and leather and gears that still exist to some extent in the new iOS, we're never gonna have a jump like that, for at least for a long time, okay? But Vision OS is the future, and everything kind of trickled down. You could tell iOS 7 to iOS 18 were the building block and the foundation for Apple to dream of a futuristic iOS that they then put in Apple Vision OS, okay? And it was then Apple Vision OS and its innovation and its new aesthetic and feel and look that trickled down into all of their operating systems. It's very similar to how the design language of current Apple devices very much came from the redesigned iPad Pro. I believe it was the third generation iPad Pro that had, the squared circle look, that cornered design, rounded cornered design, that is still very much seen in all of Apple's devices. But from an operating system standpoint, Vision OS is now the pioneer in terms of what they're looking to do with software, and you should expect to see that and those elements trickle trickle down into all their other operating systems. So check it out, guys. Even if you don't like it, like I said, sometimes it's gloopy. There are some things that I don't like about the OS myself, but at the end of the day, this is just beta 1 and it is functional. It looks pretty good in my own opinion. And I think what happens is when the internet, I think we kind of love to hate right now, and there's such an outrage culture that when people criticize something, that tends to get amplified. And what's going to happen is this refresh only comes once every 10 years. And I'm not saying that as a threat. If it sucks, people got to speak up. You got to keep these companies honest. But it's going to make them even slower and even more reluctant to innovate and to do anything. People want to act like they love Steve Jobs now, but he got fired from Apple, okay, in the past, and people didn't like what he was doing. People don't like innovation as much as they pretend to like innovation. You've got to do something new. You've got to do something that people maybe don't like at first, but people sometimes need to be shown what the future is. They have to be shown what they want. And I'm telling you, as soon as you download this operating system and you start using it, everything else just feels old and dated. So actually, hats off to Apple for iOS 26 here. And I can't wait to see it, be refined and things like that. It'll be improved before the fall, okay? Don't get all crazy now, but we'll just wait and see. Anyway, so I'll have a deep dive with the iPad OS. I'm still getting into it and figuring out everything that can do and how it's going to help my workflow. So stay tuned for that video. You know what to do. Hit the like button, subscribe, and click the bell so you don't miss as we cover all things tech. I'm Chris Grant Jr. Also, if you're into video games, real quick before we end, I did a reaction to the new Xbox handheld, as it was a big week for Xbox as well, and why I would choose that over the new Nintendo Switch too. So if you want to see that, check that out. Link down below. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's a Granny Key Show.